So great. I am so ridiculously excited about our next guest. And of course, I if we have time, I have a story if he lets me tell it, because I always embarrass him with this story. But he's like one of those, you know how they're like circles and everything kind of radiates out from it. He's like a center point, just somebody that is a grounding influence at CARD, and that so many great things radiate out from. I adore the ground he walks on, and I think he knows that, but I'm not ashamed to say it 32 more times, or 32,000 more times. We're talking about the fabulous Hank Moore. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about him, Dr. Granpeesheh, because he's incredible.
Yeah, I can't go there too much, Shannon. We're gonna have to pull out the tissue boxes again.
Get him out.
My God. Okay, so I have a million stories about Hank, which I probably am not allowed to say live. So I think I've embarrassed him 100 times in different events by telling these stories. But I will say that I agree with you. And Hank also, by the way, is I think more than 25 years at CARD. And he is in some ways similar to Vince, who we had on a different show, that he is someone who is one of my, I guess, one of the few people that I can lean on at CARD, right? So he holds me up. He is a dear, dear friend for me personally. We've actually, with our families, traveled together. And I love Hank. He will be a part of my life forever. I am very, very grateful to him for everything that he has done at CARD. I want to say, I mean, I'll just keep jumping in and saying these things, but I do want to say that Hank is one of the few people who pretty much will always jump in and do what is needed. And that could be something that no one else wants to do. And he will actually become an expert at it and get it to a level of excellence. And he has done that over and over at his career at CARD. And let's bring him on and
let's get him in here. Hank Moore, everybody. I see him there, but there he is. He's coming up. Do we have his camera on? Hank, can you turn your camera on? Oh, I'm hearing him, but I'm not seeing him.
Is it working now?
Well, we can hear you now, Hank. We're not seeing your camera. Can you put your camera on?
Yeah, it should be on now.
We are getting a blue picture. While we're figuring that out, I'm going to tell the Hank story. And I don't know if you've heard this, Doreen, but Hank has heard this many times. So when the way I came to know about CARD and get CARD services for my son is that my work sent me to a home, and it was people who had a son who was being treated at CARD. Oh, and and before I left their house that day, they sent me home with a whole bunch of stuff. I took all these notes, but they sent me home with a book. And the book was A Real Boy by Christina Adams. And that book became my new Bible. I read that book. That book was so dog-eared. I lived and I would reread every page like 5 times. I took it with me everywhere. It had food stains on it. It had been in the bathtub. This book was my guiding light and I said, we're going to be at CARD, because it was the story of a boy, his mom telling the story about what it was like for him at CARD. And it was my everything. And in the book, and we've had Christina on the show many times, in the book, she, something happens with her son, and she says, so I called Hank. I called CARD and talked to Hank, and I couldn't wait to hear what Hank said about this. And this happened, and Hank said this, and Hank said this, and Hank. And all I wanted was a Hank in my life. I didn't know about CARD particularly, but I wanted a Hank in my life. And it was like the thing that everybody could hope for, that you have this autism expert that you call up and you say, Hank, this happened, what do I do about it? And Hank tells you what to do about it. And every time she would talk to Hank, things got better. Great. So we start at card and I meet Sienna. I don't meet Dr. Granpeesheh, who I also look forward to. I didn't see Hank. And in that first meeting, I said, "Is Hank here?" And she was like, "Hank? No, Hank doesn't work at this office." And I was like, "I don't get to meet Hank? I don't get to meet Dr. Granpeesheh, and I don't get to meet." And she said, "Well, you might get to meet Dr. Granpeesheh at some point, but no, Hank doesn't work at this office. He works at another card office." And I was like, "Am I ever going to get to meet Hank?" And she was like, I don't know. I mean, I guess that might happen, right? So every time we would come in for clinic, I would be like, is Hank here? And I'd be keeping my eyes peeled for Hank. Never met Hank. And every time I met somebody at card, I would be like, "Do you know Hank?" And they were like, "Hank, yeah, I've met Hank." And I'm like, "Tell me everything about Hank," but I never got to see Hank. And over the years, I was like, I don't know if Hank exists. I started to doubt that Hank was a person. Did he exist? I don't know. And then I come to card as an employee, and I remember getting the tour and I'm like, "Is Hank here?" No, Hank doesn't work at this location. He works at this far away. And in my head, I'm like, I'm going to visit that location sometime because I want to meet, right? But I'm busy doing other things now. And finally, there comes a day where they say to me, because I'm trying to learn everything I can, they said, "Oh, they're going to be doing a training about something. It's an online training. But if you'd like to sit in, anybody who wants to can come up to the big conference room and listen in." So I go up with a couple of other people, one person in particular, and we walk into the conference room and she goes, "Oh, I don't know. Have you ever met Hank?" And I went, "Hank? Hank? Hank, the Hank? Are you really? Are you?" And I started to cry and I was
Oh my
like
God.
screaming and I had to sit down because I was going to pass out and I couldn't breathe. And I was like, "Are
Oh
you
my
really
God.
Hank?" And the other person was going, "What just happened?
Oh
Why are you
my God.
behaving this way?" And of course, Hank was very humble and he was like, "Yes, I'm Hank." And I was like, "I've waited forever to meet you. I didn't know if I was ever gonna meet you. You're really Hank?" And to this day, I get goosebumps, Doreen, because it meant, and he's so used to this reaction now, but the other colleague was like, I feel like I've stepped into an alternate universe. What is, because I was all being professional, but I completely lost it.
That is
And
so
and he was just so humble. But can I tell you that Hank, after that, has become such a part of my through line? Hank was somebody who went in and observed my son in the classroom. Hank was the first, like, how many years of therapy had we gone through? And I was talking with somebody, and Hank was in the hallway, and Hank said the thing that I quote all the time on the show here. Hank said the thing, they were saying, we're having trouble with compliance. And Hank said, just like, like pass the salt. He said, "Oh, have you upped the praise?"
yeah.
And and I and I was like, what did he just say? That doesn't make sense. But as I grew to understand that, I say that all the time on Autism Live. I also want to say that when we started Autism Live, first it was Skills Live and it morphed to Autism Live. They didn't let me just come on the air to talk. I had people who were assigned to be BCBAs and experts in my earpiece. And as I would talk, if I would say something, they would correct me. And then afterwards, they would give me tutorials. Hank was one of those people. If
Wow.
people love Autism Live, and what we do at Autism Live, Hank deserves a thank you for a lion's share of that because Hank helped shape what is now Autism Live. So, and on top of that, now, in the role that Hank is, I'm not the best person at paperwork and I don't understand computers completely. And whenever the poop has hit the fan, Hank is the person that I go to, and Hank always makes it better. Hank always says, "I want to help you to fix this so I can get you back to your job." And I know he says that to a million other people a million times a day. And the value of that, to know that there is someone in that position that understands and is kind and considerate and level-headed and loving and empathetic. I can't tell you how many times I've been ready to leave the building on fire because I couldn't get something to work. that Hank said, let me solve this for you and you go do what you do
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
And,
And it's funny,
and
Shannon, it's funny that you said for the longest time I thought he's doesn't exist, he's imaginary, because look, we're still having a hard time getting him on camera right now. He's a man. He's a
and
ghost.
everybody else is like, yeah, I still haven't met Hank because you don't have his camera. I don't know what has gone wrong with your camera, but Hank, we can at least talk to you, Hank. Are you there? And now maybe he's gone off completely. Well, I sort of want him to be here because he's heard me wax poetic about him before. Because whenever there's
No,
baby BCBAs, I always tell this story. But do you want to wait and talk about him when he's here, Dr. Granpeesheh, or do you want to talk about him now?
I mean, I have a lot to say, so I'll go for it, and hopefully he'll be able to join us. If not on video, he can maybe join us on sound.
Yeah.
But I want to say, like, you know, Shannon, I have when you're this close to someone, and Hank is. Fortunately, when Hank moved up to LA, he became very close to me in my immediate circle, and he has been one of the few people that I would meet with every week, very regularly, and get his advice and support and kind of share problems with, and we problem solved a lot of things together at CARD. So he in that capacity, I see him as sort of, have always seen him as one of my advisors, friends, colleagues, very close circle. But also, I want to say that over the years, Hank has done many different things at CARD. He was a really, really good, actually remember him as a fantastic therapist. And I remember him as a fantastic supervisor. I know families to this day, you mentioned Christine Adams, but there are other families who absolutely adore Hank to this day, regardless of how their child ended up doing in the end. But Hank is one of those people that not just helped the children, but also really, really helped the entire family structure. And I think that he has been a tremendous contributor to just everything that all the families need. He's been amazing at CARD. He's been a trainer. He has done workshops all over the country. He has just done every possible role. And of course, the last several years, he's been in charge of compliance, which is a really tough area. And it's just amazes me that someone who has been working so hard for over 25 years to this day, Shannon, is willing to take on some of those things that are so just difficult. You know, if just a week ago he was texting me on a Sunday night saying, I'm really worried about something. And I was just thinking to myself, my God, like, you know, to take on the responsibility of an organization as big as CARD, and to still really care so much is such a unique gift. So let's
Yeah,
see if
he is a gift to all of us. Let's see if Hank, can you hear us and can you talk? Oh, it's such a bummer. That is such a bummer. I hope he can at least hear us, because we have so much love for him and what he does. Here's the irony of it is that, as I was saying before, when talking about compliance with our kiddos, like he has the best line ever, up the praise. But then now he's gone into compliance for this whole company. And one of the things that Hank does is, there's all this technology in the company and there's therapists with iPads, and he makes sure that everybody is using their technology properly and makes sure that there are filters so that people can't be on sites that they shouldn't be. And I have a feeling that his stuff is wrapped so tight that whatever he can't get through whatever filter, so that he can get through to us, which is just bumming me out.
True. Shannon, he also is, has for many, many years taken care of the entire payroll at CARD. He has for many years taken care of insurance audits. Like, you name it, there are a million different things that Hank has been doing at CARD. And It's incredible. And he's a huge support to not just me, to a lot of us who have been at headquarters. And he's just absolutely incredible and has been for, so many years. So
Okay, they've identified what the issue is. Here's what I would like for us to do. And Traven's taking responsibility for it. It's my fault, Traven, because I didn't ask people to not join via Safari. That was my fault. I was asked to provide that, and it's my bad. But let's do this. Okay, so I'm told that we actually have the mystical, the magical, the man, Hank Moore, joining us right now. I can see a picture of him. Let's get Hank in this room. Hey, see, he does exist. He does exist.
Yes, I do. The guy who doesn't usually have technical difficulties had a ton today.
It was
including-
our fault. Mine
Oh,
is
no,
my
I
bad.
actually also had fire alarms going off in my house, my dog barking, so it's
It's all good.
been a little bit
It's
of a
all
challenge. I think we're good now.
Hank,
Well,
we
I
have
think-
said so many loving things about you. Did you hear any of them?
Oh, I heard all of them. I was blushing like you wouldn't believe.
I think he did it on purpose, Shannon. I think he wanted to just delay so that we would have 15 minutes of talking about how much we love him.
You
And
guys
we
are-
did.
No, I
You need
heard
to
it.
tell your story though. How did you start
tell
at
us your
CARD?
story.
How did I start at CARD? I kind of fell into this by accident. So I was going to UCLA as a computer science major, and was about 2 years into computer science classes. And as one of the prereqs to graduate, you had to take a psychology class. So I went to
Yeah.
the psychology class, and in that class, they did a demonstration of doing ABA with an autistic kid that they had at their clinic there. And they indicated that this is something that you guys can do, the students there at UCLA could do and get credit for it. And I had always been really good with my relatives and their kids and all that sort of stuff. So I was like, you know what, this might be interesting enough. So I went and did it over a summer and learned how to actually apply all the techniques. And within 1 or 2 quarters at UCLA, I switched my major to psychology and kind of went down that road. And then once I graduated from UCLA, um, my girlfriend at the time was working at CARD. And so she was trying to heavily recruit me to switch over from UCLA's clinic to CARD's clinic. And at that point in time, there was a good competition, a good rivalry going on. So I ended up applying to CARD, meeting Doreen, and she interviewed me and said, "Okay, well, come on board." And so for about 6 months, I worked both at UCLA and at CARD, and wanted to kind of see which one would give me the most opportunities. I love UCLA to death, as most people know, and so it got to one day where I had to make a choice because it was just too crazy of schedules between trying to keep CARD happy, trying to keep UCLA happy without either of them kind of knowing about each other at that point in time. So I went to my supervisor at UCLA and said, "Look, I want to move up. I want to be a supervisor. So let's do it." And she said, "No way, not going to happen." So I called it quits at UCLA, switched over to CARD full time, and then within a good year, I moved up into a supervisory position. That was back in '95. So
Wow.
it's been a interesting journey. I always try to say at this point with my age, I've spent over 50% of my life at CARD.
Yeah.
And
It's incredible.
been
And can I say thank God, because how much joy and knowledge and assistance and support you have given. Like I just want to find that person at UCLA who said no and hug them. Because it wasn't meant to be. And I want to go, oh, your loss, our gain, thanks. what a tremendous difference it has meant to so many other people, my kid and me included, Hank. And honestly, I want everybody to have a Hank. Everybody
Yeah.
deserves to have a Hank.
Yeah,
No,
this is my Hank. This is my and I love that. And I have to say, I'm also very grateful that you at some point decided to move up to LA, because you became such a more integral part of the company as a whole. And although, I can't there when people are talented clinicians, it's difficult to accept that they are moving into kind of the management operations role, because your clinical talent is so needed. But at the same time, CARD kind of needed you in these management operations roles, and you stood it, you took it and you stepped in. And even though at times, Hank, you were running probably the busiest department, when things would happen in another department, revenue cycle being an example, or admissions or authorizations or whatever, you would say, all right, I'll take that too. Nothing really ever scared you, where you would say, I can't handle that, that's not my area. And you just went in, you dove in, you learned all about it, you managed it, organized it, kept people going, and always improved things. And to this day, as tough as the last year has been in so many different ways, you continue to do that. And I want to say that also, I love you very much. I love your beautiful family, as you know. And I'm very, very grateful that we have the chance to spend any time of our lives together. We've had good years, and I'm hopeful that we will have many more years to come. And I thank you for all the kids out there and all the families who you continue to influence in one way or another.
thank you. I appreciate it. No, it's been a good road at CARD. CARD has been responsible for so many good things in my life, including my wife and my family.
That's
Because
right. You met your wife at CARD. That's true.
yep. So it's always, there's always been ups and downs. But what I've always said is CARD is always taking care of me. And
That's
I think that'll continue to grow and prosper.
that's
But I just
awesome.
realized something for the first time, which is silly. I should have realized this a long time ago, that you are CARD's Yoda. You are the Yoda of CARD. You're the centered, grounded teacher that we all kind of gravitate to, that can handle
Yeah,
anything. And there's no monster too big for Hank to slay. And
That's
that you do it in a
funny that
place
you
of
say that.
centered. You are CARD's Yoda. We need to now
yeah,
make t-shirts.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's funny that you say that, because usually most people at CARD think I'm Darth Vader.
Yeah,
No,
they are. They're
yeah,
scared
no.
of him. That's true. They are scared of
Yes,
him.
which I find luscious and special. But it's because you wield a big lightsaber, but you are the Yoda. That is it. I'm done for the day, because that
Thank you.
is the perfect analogy. And I just thank you, Hank, for everything. You've touched so many parts of our lives. You laid down the path that made Christina write the book that I followed. And then I got to meet you. Like, I didn't get to meet you for the longest time, but I got to meet you right when we needed you. And then you pointed us down the right path then, and you pointed the path for Autism Live as well. So big hugs, my friend. I adore you.
Thank you.
Love you very much, Hank.
Yes.
Have a
Love you guys.
wonderful day. Thank you so much for coming so we could share you with everyone.
No problem. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Love you. Take
He
care.
does exist. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.